Without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. Blue moon, you knew just what I
Time to cash out.
Will you get it over with?
Maybe cons kill people without looking them in the face. But I ain't a fink. Dig? You've made your last delivery, kid. Sorry you got twisted up in this scene. From where you're kneeling must seem like an 18-carat run of bad luck. Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
War. War never changes. When atomic fire consumed the Earth, those who survived did so in great underground vaults. When they opened, their inhabitants set out across the ruins of the old world to build new societies, establishing villages, forming tribes. As decades passed, what had been the American Southwest united beneath the flag of the new California Republic, dedicated to old world values of democracy and the rule of law. As the Republic grew, so did its needs. Scouts spread east, seeking territory and wealth in the dry and merciless expanse of the Mojave Desert. They returned with tales of a city untouched by the warheads that had scorched the rest of the world, and a great wall spanning the Colorado River. The NCR mobilized its army and sent it east to occupy Hoover Dam and restore it to working condition. But across the Colorado, another society had arisen under a different flag. A vast army of slaves forged from the conquest of 86 tribes, Caesar's Legion. 4 years have passed since the Republic held the dam, just barely, against the Legion's onslaught. The Legion did not retreat. Across the river, it gathers strength. Campfires burn, training drums beat. Through it all, the New Vegas Strip has stayed open for business, under the control of its mysterious overseer, Mr. House, and his army of rehabilitated tribals and police robots. You are a courier, hired by the Mojave Express to deliver a package to the New Vegas Strip. What seemed like a simple delivery job has taken a turn for the worse.
You're awake. How about that? Whoa, easy there, easy. You've been out cold a couple of days now. Why don't you just relax a second? Get your bearings. Let's see what the damage is. How about your name? Can you tell me your name?
It's Ken.
I can't say it's what I'd have picked for you, but if that's your name, that's your name. I'm Doc Mitchell. Welcome to Goodsprings. Now, I hope you don't mind, but I had to go rooting around there in your noggin to pull all the bits of lead out. I take pride in my needlework, but you'd better tell me if I left anything out of place. How'd I do?
Doc, considering I should be dead right now, I have no doubt that you did an excellent job. Yeah. It's alright. Is my mouth always that big? Yeah, it's great, Doc.
Okay. No sense keeping you in bed anymore. Let's see if we can get you on your feet. Good. Why don't you walk down to the end of the room, over by that vigor tester machine there. Take it slow now. It ain't a race. Ooh, looking good so far. Go ahead and give the vigor tester a try. We'll learn right quick if you got back all your faculties.
Having a go at the vigor machine, it is here we can decide what beginning stats we want for our character. I spent a little too much time trying to decide, so skipping ahead, I built what I thought was a decent intelligence build for a Mojave roaming scientist.
Huh. Must be some frontal lobe damage.
Sorry, frontal
your
what?
vitals are good, but that don't mean them bullets didn't leave you nuttered and a bighorn a dropping. What do you say you take a seat in my couch and we go through a couple of questions? See if your dogs are still barking.
Fine, but can we talk about that frontal lobe stuff later on?
All right. I'm gonna say a word. I want you to say the first thing that comes to mind.
Answering these quick one-word
Dog.
questions, it is here we can start to build up our passive stats. These stats will determine what perks we will be able to use as we level up through the game. For example, associating the word dog with dinner will add points to our survival stat. The three stats that I'm hoping to get the most points in are science, energy weapons, and survival.
Almost done here. What do you say you have a look at this? Tell me what you see.
I'm not sure about these other options, but I can definitely tell you that's a chemical reaction.
Okay. How about this one?
I can see a ship at sea.
Last one.
I don't know about a bearded man or a head on a pillow, but definitely a mushroom cloud.
Well, that's all she wrote. I don't have nothing to compare it to, so maybe you'd better just have a look at the results. See if it all seems right to you.
Alright, so we got explosive, energy weapons, and science. Well, 2 out of 3 isn't so bad. Luckily, we can just take these stats down and pick the ones that we actually wanted them in. So, taking off explosives, I then move it down to survival instead.
Before I turn you loose, I need one more thing from you. I got a form for you to fill out so I can get a sense of your medical history. Just a formality. Ain't like I expect to find you got a family history of getting shot in the head.
We then get to the traits screen. These aren't really stats, but they definitely affect how the game will act around our player. This could be anything such as having a vilified status around all the major factions in the Mojave, but ending up with 2 raider companions. Or something such as, you are so easily addicted to chems, but fortunately you can craft any common chem from a campfire. For this, I decided that I was going to use a trait that I'd never really chosen before, the 4 Eyes trait. With this, I would have less perception when not wearing glasses, and more perception if I were. And for my final trait, I picked one that didn't really determine the way that the gameplay would change, but rather how the game itself would. With the Wild Wasteland trait, our gameplay won't be affected, but there will be a bunch of Easter eggs and references to other games and movies, and even nods to our actual history throughout the game. I also thought that it might make content a little bit more interesting with it enabled too.
Alright, I guess that about does it. Come with me, I'll see you out.
Oh, thanks, Doc. See, you don't mind if I just take a little look around, do you? Investigating the Doc's house, we can find a few objects nearby that we can interact with, giving us the opportunity to take some more items with us before heading out into the wasteland. At the back of the room, we can find a chemistry set. Activating it, we get 2 options. We can either A, make more stim packs that act as reliable healing consumables, or we can make a bunch of chems, drugs that we can bring into combat to help balance the odds. I decided that you can never have enough stim packs when travelling through a dangerous environment like the Mojave. Next to the chemistry set, sitting on a box, is a broken 9mm SMG. Unfortunately, because our repair skill is below the required amount, we cannot fix the SMG and have to leave it behind. That wasn't a massive missed opportunity, because in a box on some shelves, we find our first laser weapon, as well as some cells for it.
Here, these are yours. Was all you had on you when you was brought in. I hope you don't mind, but I gave the note a look. I thought it might help me find a next of kin. But it was just something about a platinum chip. Well, if you're heading back out there, you ought to have this. They call it a Pip-Boy. I grew up in one of them vaults they made before the war. We all got one. Ain't much use to me now, but you might want such a thing after what you've been through. I know what it's like having something taken from you. And put this on too, so the locals don't pick on you for lacking modesty. Never was much my style anyway.
With some generous donations from the doc, we're able to thank him for all he's done for us and ask what he thinks we should do now. What do you think I should do now, Doc?
You should talk to Sunny Smiles before you leave town. She can help you learn to fend for yourself in the desert. She'll likely be at the saloon. I reckon some of the other folks at the saloon might be able to help you out too. And the metal fella, Victor, who pulled you out of your grave. Anyway, you ever get hurt out there, you come right back. I'll fix you up. But try not to get killed anymore.
With that done, our final screen appears, offering us the chance to play it on hardcore mode. This means that we'll need to think about what food, water and weapons we want to bring along with us, before going on long trips across the wasteland. I've never played in hardcore mode, so in order to make this a little bit more interesting, we accept the challenge. And with that, our first quest is done. I quickly decide to see what loot the doc had given us. Aside from a few starting weapons and armour we can get from having all the DLCs installed, because we specialised in energy weapons, the good doctor has given us an extra laser pistol, which we can use to repair the condition of the one that we found earlier. This is the laser pistol. While being one of the weakest entry-level pistols, this variant of laser weapon is also the most common, making it very easy to repair, and found at some reasonable prices in stores in the Mojave. It also lacks true iron sights, making it very difficult to hit a target when aiming. However, with the help from some attachment mods, this is easily fixed. It does possess a multiplier on critical hits, making them more frequent, and able to turn targets into a pile of orange ash. At its current level, it does 6 damage and 26 DPS. However, like most weapons in Fallout, with the right amount of perks and stats, it can be of great use. The second weapon that I chose to bring with me actually uses bullets. This is the weathered 10mm pistol. At its current level, it does 14 damage and 45 DPS. It also does slightly more damage than the vanilla pistol, and also requires pretty much no gun skill, making it the most accurate starter pistol that you can get in the game. It also looks much cleaner, which means that its durability is doubled. As for our clothing, we swapped the Vault 21 jumpsuit for the armoured Vault 13 one, which surprisingly has no boosts to our stats compared to a regular Vault suit. With our recovery out of the way, it's time to take our first steps into the wasteland. Alright, let's do this. This must be Goodsprings. I'll be honest, I don't know what I was expecting. This settlement is much smaller than I expected it to be. Taking the time to look around, they did at the very least have a general store, a place where I can buy weapons and ammo, as they also had a classic looking western saloon too. This little town must get more visitors than I thought. To the southwest, there appears to be a pen holding bighorners. This must be where the town mainly gets their money from, as well as their food. Further down, there were some old flats that have been renovated to fit the farmers and other settlers inside. To the west, there was a school. Strange, considering I hadn't seen any children around. I wonder why they're not utilising it. And finally, on the horizon was the town cemetery, where, not a few hours prior, would have been my final resting place if it wasn't for a local robot that was passing by. What did the doc call him again? Victor? I'll have to keep an eye out so I can thank him. With my brief tour of the town over, it was time to drop off whatever items I didn't want to take with me at the general store.
You must be the one Doc Mitchell was patching up. The way I heard it, I didn't think you'd be walking out of that office. I've got plenty of supplies for sale. Even got some weapon mods and special ammo. Well worth the caps if you ask me. If you're hurting for caps, I've also got boxes of surplus ammo in the miscellaneous section. They're not great, but you get what you pay for.
Weapon mods? What type of mods are we talking about?
Weapon mods are things like silencers, scopes, bigger magazines. Special ammo includes things like armor-piercing bullets, which don't hurt the target as much, but let you punch through armor easier. There's also hollow point bullets, which have the opposite effect. You can kill unarmored targets easier. but they don't do shit against armor.
Okay, you mentioned surplus ammo. What's so inferior about it?
It's all about quantity over quality. Trouble is, you'll be cleaning and fixing your gun a lot more than usual when you use those kind of bullets.
I see, so rather than pay for some quality ammo, you can instead spend less on a lesser type. Well, as long as it works like any other bullet, I don't mind what type I get. So, let's see what you have for sale in here.
Can do.
Before spending what few caps I had on me, I decided to sell all the weapons and clothing that I didn't want to be dragging along across the Mojave with me. Now that I'm in hardcore mode, I'd have to be careful with what weapons I want to bring with me. Double for ammo, now that it has weight as well. Once I'm happy with the amount of caps I'm receiving, it's time to trade them for any items that I want to bring with me right now. In the weapons section, I was lucky to find a few firearms I was hoping to run into this early, including a GI laser pistol. This was the same as any other laser pistol, except I could aim down the sights more clearly. I also got myself a recharger rifle to help save me an extra few caps on ammo. And finally, a .22 pistol, for those times where I feel as if a head-to-head fight is not going to be in my favour. With some spare food, water and weapons bought, I think it's time I go meet this Sunny character at the doc mentioned. Oh, before I leave, did you happen to see or maybe talk to the people that attacked me?
The leader was a New Vegas type. Typical city boy. He had a bunch of Great Khans with him, probably hired guns. The Great Khans normally stay in their own territory way up northwest, on account of them being enemies with the NCR.
Great Khans has hired guns? What can you tell me about them?
They're tough sons of bitches. Mean, but not crazy. They'll leave you alone unless you got something they want. The Great Khans deal in illegal chems. There's a good chance that most chems you come across were made by Great Khans.
I see, so whoever tried to murder me likes to save their caps by buying cheap thugs as backup. They might be a bit easier to find than him. You said he looked like the Vegas type. You ever been to New Vegas?
Twice. Both times I drank a lot of liquor and lost most of my caps at the card tables. In that order, now that I think about it. If you ever get to New Vegas, be sure to visit Gomorrah. It's the best casino in the city. You won't regret it. Word of advice, behave. Between the NCR military police and Mr. House's robots, you don't want to be causing trouble on the strip.
Mr. House? Who's that, like New Vegas's mayor or something?
I'm afraid I don't know much myself. Mr. House has got his own casino, Lucky 38, but nobody goes in or out except his robots. The other casinos follow Mr. House's rules, so I guess that makes him the leader of New Vegas. As far as I know, nobody's ever laid eyes on the guy. I think that robot who pulled you out of the dirt belongs to Mr. House. If Mr. House is looking after you, it's got to be a good thing, right?
So this mysterious Mr. House guy that no one ever sees and owns a bunch of robots just so happens to own a robot that was passing by here at the time that I was attacked by a New Vegas looking thief. There's far too many connections that make me think that this wasn't just some usual robbery. I'll see you around, chat.
Take it easy now.
After attaching a new weapon mode that made my laser pistol have slightly more damage, I began inspecting the new weapons that I bought from Chet. This is the recharger rifle. It is a self-charging weapon, meaning that it has a limitless source of ammo. Due to this being the first model made in the Fallout universe, it has a limited power capacity, and therefore is seen as a low effectiveness weapon. Now I love this rifle. Its design looks exactly like space-age weapons were depicted as in old sci-fi movies, as if the scientists that built this prototype had taken their inspiration from movie posters from that particular period. It can hold 7 rechargeable shots, and it takes 3 seconds to reach full capacity. I think that this is an ideal weapon to use when hunting small game, and when you can't afford or use expensive ammunition. This .22 pistol has an integrated suppressed barrel, making it a decent starting pistol for stealth builds. While its ammo is common at vendors, it lacks the stopping power to work as a primary weapon. It does, however, have a bonus critical hit chance as well as damage, making it ideal to use in situations that require stealth. After which, I finally headed over to the Prospector Saloon, which, funnily enough, had a prospector sitting outside its doorstep. Hello there.
Howdy. What can Easy Pete do for you?
How'd you end up with a name like Easy Pete?
Was a prospector until I decided to settle here to get away from the NCR. Now we'll just take it easy and help out with the Brahmin and Bighorners.
A prospector? Like the gold and silver kind?
Nah. Means I poke through old buildings looking for working tech and such. Some folks just call it salvaging, but never liked the term. Way I see it, salvage means it's broken, near worthless. Me, I look for the good stuff. Guns, chems, spare parts. Good money in it.
Oh, he's an old scavenger, not the pickaxe and pan type. Right. You ever find anything worthwhile?
Nope. Had a pretty good claim once, way out east by the river, but got run off by raiders. Eventually got too old to keep going out.
I imagine you got a knack for noticing newcomers. You know anything about the people that tried to kill me?
The one in the fancy suit seemed to be calling the shots. That's as much as I know. Other folks in town might know more. Word of advice, though, if you ever catch up with him, watch out. The man's got cold eyes like a snake. Can't be trusted, I'd say.
You mentioned something about the NCR.
Don't get me wrong. The NCR's got a lot of decent folk in it. It's just that they make you part of them whether you like it or not. Towns like Goodsprings and Prim don't stay independent for long. Not if you've got something the NCR wants. Still, the NCR keeps the Legion away.
The hell is the Legion? Are they another gang?
They're slavers, led by a guy named Caesar, or Caesar. Not sure how you're supposed to say it. A couple of years ago, they tried to take over Hoover Dam, but the NCR beat them back. The NCR didn't or couldn't finish the job, though. The Legion's got its strength back and is getting ready for another round at the dam. My money's still on the NCR winning, but you never know. We've been hearing stories about legionaries on the Nevada side of the river, so keep a gun handy. You don't want to get caught by them.
Sounds like the Legion are a bigger threat than expected. Any idea what they want with that dam?
The dam powers a lot of New Vegas, and then there's all that clean water lying in Lake Mead, too. Anybody who owns the dam owns the territory.
So it's all one big battle for the Mojave? I better keep an eye out for both parties if I don't want to get caught in the crossfire. What about the robot that dug me up and took me to the dock? What's his deal?
The machine? Harmless, no matter what Trudy says. She thinks it's hiding something, but I think it's just a broken down relic with no place to be.
What do you mostly use the cattle for around here?
Meat and hide, mostly. Can't put a pack on them. You just lay down until you take it off. Can find a bunch of wild ones high up in the hills, but gotta be careful around them. They can put up a decent fight if cornered.
Well, thanks for the information, Easy Pete. I'll see you around.
Keep your gun handy if you go poking around some of the abandoned places around here, like the schoolhouse. Critters move in there sometimes.
Ah, well, that explains the reason why no one's touched that place. Still, it'll be worth a look, and might get me in with the town a little bit more. If I'm going to be dealing with bugs, it's best to save my ammo, and use a melee weapon instead. This is the broad machete. Again, another weapon that I got for having all the DLCs. It has a higher DPS than other bladed weapons, which increases it at higher levels and making it have higher base damage too. Its forward power attack is also slightly faster than other melee weapons, but despite it being a machete, it for some reason doesn't have a bonus to limb damage like other bladed weapons, which I think might be a bug, or I don't know, could have been intentional. Either way, it's going to be something useful to use in the future. Arriving at the school, I pick up some Xander root that I can use for making some small medicine consumables, and eventually I head inside. Well, it's like Peake said, infested with bugs. Giant mantises, apparently. Well, putting our new machete to good use. With the schoolhouse somewhat clear, we can now see what the residents of Goodsprings had left behind. Hacking into a nearby console, we can disengage the lock to a safe right next to us. Inside we can find some more stimpaks and chems. I don't know what this teacher was doing with stimpaks and chems, but alright. With nothing else to collect, we leave the school carrying anything of use and head back to the saloon.
Cheyenne, stay. Don't worry. She won't bite unless I tell her to.
Right. You Sunny Smiles? The doc said something about you helping me get back on my feet.
Yeah, I guess there's a thing or two I could show you. Sounds like you need all the help you can get after what they done to you. Meet me outside, behind the saloon.
Following Sunny, she hands us a rifle and then
hit a
asks
couple
us
of
to
them.
shoot some bottles behind the bar. Nope. Nope.
That's the right idea.
There we go.
Look down the sight. Try crouching down and staying still. It'll help your aim. Nice shot. Well, that's a start. But I don't reckon you came to me to learn to fight sarsaparilla bottles. Tell you what, I gotta go chase geckos away from our water supply anyway. Darn critters are attracted to it. Why don't you come along?
Yeah, I'll come along. Practice makes perfect, really.
Follow me. It's just down to the southeast a short ways.
Following Sunny, she leads us to some rock formations southwest of Goodsprings.
Hear that up on the ridge behind me there? We got some geckos to clear out. Bunch of little monsters is what they are. Seems like Doc Mitchell treats more gecko bites than anything else. Let's see if we can get a little closer. If we move quietly, we can get the jump on them. More likely to hit something vital that way.
Alright then. Rather than use the rifle that Sunny had given us, I instead switched to my new 22. I want to see just how much damage this shot can do when in stealth.
Okay, you're on.
An instant kill. Guess that bonus damage and bonus critical hit chance is going to come in handy after all.
Oh, that's it.
I think I'll let Sunny deal with this one.
You should have known better. See? You're getting the hang of it. There's 2 more wells that still need clearing. You want, you can come along. It'd be worth a few caps to me.
Yeah, I'll come along.
Shouldn't take more than a couple minutes, especially with 2 of us. Come with me.
Well, if we're going hunting, we better use the rifle that Sunny actually gave us. Inspecting the geckos, we can find either hide, eggs, or meat. We'll take the meat, as with a high enough survival skill, we can use it to make some food for any future journeys. Oop, sorry, Sunny, I guess I got a little bit distracted. Oh, she doesn't seem to mind. Checking our radar, we can see a friendly nearby. Looking over the drop. It's a woman fighting a bunch of geckos. I managed to injure a couple of geckos, but I think that civilian finished them off. Still, I've got some experience for helping out.
Holy moly. If you hadn't come here like you done, I'd be a goner for sure. I came up here to draw water, but here, you should have what I got. You look thirsty.
And now suddenly the town is more accepting of me. I guess helping out the settlers around the town from violent wildlife would do something like that. Heading back to Sunny.
Now that was some good work. Even got a little exciting there at the end. Here's a little spending money for the trouble. One more thing I wanted to show you. Thought I might teach you about living off the land and making useful things for yourself. Interested?
Thanks, Sunny, but I already know about the herbs and treatments that I can find in the Mojave.
Okay, say no more. I'm heading back now. Hope I didn't miss anything good on the jukebox. Cheyenne would never forgive me. Hey, do me a favor. Trudy, she's the bartender up at the Prospector. Kind of the town mom. She likes to meet newcomers. She'd be cross with me if I didn't ask you to poke your head in and say hi.
I'll see you, Sunny. And you, Cheyenne. After getting rehydrated, I took a little detour on my way back to Goodsprings and found a campfire, where I could make myself some gecko steaks with the meat that we got earlier. It is on our way back we find our first Wild Wasteland Easter egg. It appears to be a skeleton in a refrigerator. Inside we can find a stylish gambler hat as well. I don't know what this guy was thinking, hiding in a refrigerator in the middle of a nuclear wasteland. This thing's so old it belongs in a museum. Trying on the hat, While it does boost our perception a tiny bit, I never really liked how the hat looks on the top of our head. It's almost as if the model is just a tad bit too big, and it kind of makes my character look like a Discord moderator. Right, I didn't get a good look at the armour that we got from the DLC, so here it is, the light leather armour. While its weight is less and still retains the amount of defence we get from wearing regular leather armour, I'd wear this if I didn't think that the lack of a left sleeve made it look so stupid. But apparently this is because the armour is supposedly a reference to the outfit that Mad Max wears in one of the movies. Either way, I'm content with the vault suit that we're wearing right now. Before heading back to meet Trudy at the saloon, I decided to check out the cemetery where I was left for dead to see if there were any clues nearby. There was something shining in the dirt. It looks like a snow globe? Oh, there's some kind of collectible. It doesn't say what I get for a reward, but I guess I'll keep an eye out for them. Finding what used to be my shallow grave, it looked like whoever attacked me had quite the party after they thought that I was gone. That's when I noticed the new Vegas lights on the horizon. If what everyone said was true, my attacker would be found there. A sign nearby almost seemed like a warning to me, advising me to let it go. Let my attackers off easy and just be thankful for the life that I barely managed to cling on to. No, I'm not just any common courier. I'm not just going to sit back and let the universe deal with my murderers. Besides, I still had a package to deliver, along with some bullets for that prick in the fancy suit. Oh, this doesn't look good.
If you don't hand Ringo over soon, I'm going to get my friends and we're burning this town to the ground. Got it?
We'll keep that in mind. Now, if you're not going to buy something, get out.
What the hell is your problem?
I don't know what that was about, but I can tell that no good's going to come from it.
Well, you've been causing quite a stir. Glad I finally got to meet you. Welcome to the Prospector Saloon.
What was that conversation about? Sounds like he was threatening you.
Looks like our little town got itself dragged into the middle of something we don't want anything to do with. About a week ago, this traitor, Ringo, comes into town. Survivor of an attack, he says. Bad men after him. Needs a place to hide. We figured he was just in shock, so we gave him a place to lie low. We didn't actually expect anyone to come after him.
Where is this Ringo character now?
He's holed up at the abandoned gas station up the hill.
Are you going to do anything about that guy and his threats?
Some of the others, like Sonny, will probably stand up for Ringo if he asks for help, which he hasn't. Personally, I hope he sneaks out of town one night and takes the powder gangers with him.
Powder gangers? Is that the outfit that guy was involved with?
Chain gangs, really. The NCR brought them in from California to work on the rail lines. Problem is, it turns out that giving convicts a bunch of dynamite and blasting powder isn't the best idea. It was a big escape not too long ago. Some of them stuck together so they could make trouble. That's what we're dealing with now.
Not to sound too brash, but why not just kill the guy and be done with it?
You mean murder him? That's not our way, even if Cobb is scum. He can bluster and threaten all he wants.
Well, what if I were to help Ringo?
If you were able to get Ringo out of this mess, you'd have a decent reputation around Goodsprings. I'd even set you up with a discount. Of course, helping Ringo would also make the powder gangers mad, and they've got a lot of friends out there.
So, hypothetically, if I were to help Cobb, what would happen then?
Don't know why you'd want to do a thing like that. Yep, you'd get on their good side, but people around here wouldn't appreciate it one bit.
Never mind then. What do you know about the rest of the wasteland?
There's always something interesting going on. But the biggest news has to be the come and dust up between the NCR and the Legion over the dam.
With nothing but a debt to be owed to this town for saving my life, I decided that to pay them back, I'll help the town deal with the powder gangers. Before seeing Ringo, I got the idea to visit a neighbouring settlement just down the highway. Perhaps you could lend a hand with this powder ganger situation. And so, we leave the now familiar town of Goodsprings and head for the highway. Immediately across the road we see a skydiving business? I think it's fair to say that they're not going to be in business anytime soon. Investigating behind the building, though. More powder gangers. It would seem like Cobb has placed his crew all along the highway in case Ringo attempts to sneak away. Inside of the building there wasn't much in the way of loot except a ham radio and a key. Using the key to open some nearby lockers, I found myself some leather armor and another 22 pistol, as well as some ammo. Leaving the small shack, we continue down the highway, and yet again, there's another pair of powder gangers. Cobb isn't messing around. He's really dead set on capturing Ringo. I didn't have to walk for very long to get to the settlement named Prim. On the way there, I was able to see the Mojave wildlife in its natural state. The smaller critters all picking fights with one another, whether it be for food or territory. Arriving at the gates of Prim, a well-suited soldier approaches.
Hey, where the hell do you think you're going? Prim is off limits.
Oh, great. What seems to be the problem with Prim, then?
Some convicts from the prison up the road have taken over the town. Everyone inside is either dead or in hiding. What's more, there are 2 tribes of raiders causing trouble in this area as well. You'd be safer heading back up to Goodsprings.
You're kidding. The powder gangers are causing problems here too? Well, shouldn't the army be dealing with this?
We'd love to, but they don't fall under NCR jurisdiction. Even if they did, we're in no shape to protect them.
You're the NCR. Making the wasteland great again is your whole deal.
We don't have the equipment to take out the convicts. And even if we did, we need some extra hands for backup. You should talk to Lieutenant Hayes. He's in a tent down the road. Just stay on the west side of the overpass if you don't want to get shot.
The army doesn't have enough equipment. That's definitely some kind of excuse. Well, I came this far. I might as well investigate Prim for myself. Heading to the bridge.
You lost?
You doing your job? Really? Landmines? That's what's keeping you back here to watch? Just press the off button. It's literally on the top of the mine. That easy. With that great obstacle overcome, we walk into the town and... oh, we leveled up. Nice. I dispersed the points into skills that I think could use that extra push, and take a look at the perks available to me right now. There were some useful perks I could grab, but I decided to get the Swift Learner perk, giving me a slight boost in the amount of XP that I gain from completing quests or even just killing enemies. Anyways, this whole place has been taken over. Right. Further up the road, we finally see some nearby enemies on the radar. Grabbing our 22, we swap to hollow point rounds to see if they're as good as Chet told me they were. Taking aim. Ah, well, I imagine that it would have been better if I had hit the target. Retreating. Nope, a 22 is not going to cut it this close up in gunfights. But the 10mm, however.
They killed him.
Despite how quick that gunfight went down, I took more damage than I should have. I guess next time, if I want to be stealthy, I should get much closer and actually try to hit the target. Heading into Prim's Casino. Yeah, this game crashes a lot, even without mods, so get used to seeing the screen. While I have you here, you're already most of the way through the video, so why not leave a like and subscribe already? At least you could do it while you wait for Ken to finish booting up the game again. Sorry, I blacked out for a second. Who are you?
Johnson Nash is my name. Husband to Ruby Nash. Lived in Prim going on 8 years now, thick and thin. I'm a trader primarily, for what it's worth with things like they are. I also run the local Mojave Express outpost.
You don't say. I'm a courier with the Mojave Express. With the town of Prim not faring any better than Goodsprings, it was time to cut my losses and head back. Maybe with the help of Sunny, I could... Wait a minute. The landmines. If I were to plant them around the road where the powder gang has come from, then the town could get the jump on them. Well, that covers the ambush, but now I just gotta meet this Ringo guy and run it by him. Checking the Goodsprings gas station.
That's close enough. Who are you, and what do you want with me?
Relax, Ringo. I'm not part of the powder gangers, if that's what you're asking.
Sorry about the gun. You just caught me off guard, that's all. We got off to a bad start. What say we start over with a friendly game of Caravan? You know how to play?
No, thanks. Hey, you know that cop is just waiting outside this town for you, right?
Yeah. He doesn't look very tough, though. I hear he's afraid I'll shoot him down from one of the windows when I see him. And he's right. I'll have a much bigger problem once his friends show up. There's no way I could handle all of them in a gunfight.
Well, what did you do that's gotten them so worked up?
My caravan was on the return trip from California and heading back to the company branch in New Vegas when we got jumped. Not even a drop your weapons and hands up before the bullets started flying. We put up a good fight, but there was too many of them. I took a few of the bandits down before I ran, so I figured their friends are out for revenge.
They robbed you? Well, what are you going to do about them?
I'm gonna lay low for as long as I can, assuming the town doesn't throw me to the wolves. I've got no chance against the gang on my own.
Well, as a newly recovered hired gun, I can help.
We'd just end up sharing the same grave if it's just the two of us. Now, if some of the other people in town were also on board...
I'll ask around the town. I'm sure that I can convince them to stand up for themselves.
Start with Sunny Smiles. She's been friendlier than most around here.
Alright, with that, we head straight to the saloon to meet Sunny to ask if she'll help us fight against Cobb and his gang.
Say no more. I'm in.
Oh. Just like that?
Just like that. I have a feeling that I'm going to end up fighting those guys one way or another, so I might as well get it over with. Joe Cobb talks about leaving us alone if we hand over Ringo, but I know his type. He and his friends will come after the town eventually. However, between you, me, and Ringo, we aren't exactly a force to be reckoned with. A lot of people around here look up to Trudy. If you could convince Trudy to join us, some of the folks in town might decide to help out as well. I know Easy Pete's got a stock of dynamite somewhere, and Chet just got a shipment of leather armor we could borrow. Talk to them as well. Finally, there's a good chance we'll all end up with extra holes in us. So if Doc Mitchell could cough up some extra stim packs, that'd be great.
Can Trudy be convinced to fight alongside us?
A silver tongue would help. Convincing Trudy that we had a good plan to win the fight would also help.
What about Chet and his supplies?
I don't think give is in Chet's vocabulary. Even with the town at stake, he'd still make you barter with him. Easy Pete's pretty protective of his dynamite. You'd have to convince him you know a thing or two about explosives before you handed it over.
Easy Pete's got dynamite. Right, the doc seems like a pretty generous guy already, so I'll go talk to him and see if he can give us some extra meds first.
Welcome back. I had hoped you wouldn't need to come see me again so soon. What can I do for you?
The town's going to be leveled by powder gangers. Can you give me any kind of help, or just give any extra meds for the fight?
Seems like wherever I go, it's always the same. Folks just never leave each other alone. Oh, I'm not much good in a fight with my bum leg. And my supplies are scarce, but I'll give you what I can spare.
Alright, nice. Convincing the town to help might be easier than I thought.
Now just hold on. I never voted to take on the powder gangers.
Too dangerous. Sorry. Blow yourself up. Blow your neighbor up.
No, thank you. Good luck with your, ambush.
Okay, that was kind of a mess. This is gonna be...
Hello there. It's good to see a friendly face. I almost took you for a raider, I did. Name's Malcolm. Malcolm Holmes. Don't suppose you'd care to trade. I'm missing a few essentials and... screw this. Lying just ain't in my nature. I'll tell it to you straight. I've been following you for a good bit now.
You've been... following me?
It started off innocently enough. I was traveling, as I often do, and happened to observe you picking up one of those blue star caps. You didn't show any reaction to it, so I figured you didn't know what you'd gotten your hands on.
Okay, what's so special about those star caps?
There's an old wasteland legend that says somewhere out there is a fabulous treasure from before the war. Those caps with the blue star on them, the tale goes, are the key to that treasure. They're called Sunset Sarsaparilla Stars.
And if I wanted to find more of these caps, where would I do so?
all over the place. The easiest place to find them is unopened bottles of Sunset Sarsaparilla. You'd think they'd all have been picked clean by now, but somehow, new bottles keep appearing in the machines. Some say it's old Festus that does it, hoping someone will finally collect enough caps to earn the treasure. Other than bottles, you'll just have to scavenge. You can find caps in the unlikeliest of places, and Blue Star caps are no exception.
Okay, I'll see you around.
No problem. If you do end up trying to collect more stars, watch out for a man named Alan Marks. He's killed several people for their stars already.
That was weird. Equipping the mines, I spread them around the entrance of the town, hoping that none of its settlers trigger them passing by. With our ambush set, it's time to head back to Ringo.
So what's going on? Did Sonny agree to help us?
Well, Sonny's with us. I think we might be able to handle this.
Well, I guess that means we're ready to go. All right, I'm ready. I hope.
Time to look alive. The powder gangers are here to play.
Oh, how many are there?
At least 6. Joe Cobb included. They look pretty mean.
Shit, this is happening way sooner than I expected. Alright, let's go.
I'll be set up near the store. Let's hope that the gang doesn't manage to make it that far.
Sprinting into position, we hide and hope that the attackers are blind enough that they'll just walk onto my explosives. No!
There you are. Come on.
I'm hit.
And like that, the powder gangers will now shoot at us on sight for this battle. But the town of Goodsprings will remember us as its hero.
I owe you a huge favor for this. Here, these are technically Crimson Caravan funds, but I know they'll understand once I explain things.
Don't mention it, Ringo.
I'll stick around for a bit longer, but I'll be gone in a few days. If you ever visit New Vegas, look me up at the Crimson Caravan camp.
After looting all of the dead, we find ourselves 2 new weapons to inspect. The 357 Magnum. At level 1, it does 11 damage and 23 DPS. It also is the most common revolver that we can find throughout the Mojave, making it very easy to repair and find ammo for. The second is a modded weapon. While I don't know the exact stats, I can tell you that it is the Colt 1845. It does 15 damage and 75 DPS at level 1. It also fires slower and reloads a little bit slower than the previous revolver, but it makes up for it in stopping power. Inside the bar, some townsfolk, and even Ringo are here celebrating our victory.
I'm glad that business is over. I like it when Goodsprings is nice and quiet.
Yeah, that's nice and all, but Trudy, I need to ask you something. What can you tell me about the men that failed to murder me?